Yes. We're streaming. And again, we should have the non-delay, or at least less latency between when we see the chat and when we respond.
That's good.
Or I guess what they see, right? Like, I can't really say that we're going to respond any faster, but... Well, if you're here, welcome. It
Hello.
is good to have you back. As you can see, I'm Ian, that's John, and Jay is the your stream is still running screen. Or okay, maybe even if he turns the screen on, I'll come back.
Well, I just came in the middle of that. What was that?
There we go. We have audio.
Yeah, let me try video.
Okay.
What?
Hey, it worked. Now, that's not where you are on my screen.
Oh, hold on, I don't belong here. Very weird.
No, you're good. I'll find you. I'll find you.
Find him.
You've got a very specific set of skills.
And they involve many, many cuts while trying to hop a fence. That is a reference to Taken 3.
I only watched the first one.
I only watched. Anyway.
I just assume they're all the same after the first one.
I feel like that's
You're going to get taken, too.
Where? Where am I being taken to?
They should have called it Taken as well.
Yeah. It was almost a good trilogy. Like, the second one, I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then the third one, I was like, well, you ruined it. It was Luc Besson, so I thought, like, I had high hopes. He sometimes does really, really good stuff. And then other times he makes the film Lucy. So it's, it's like a give and take.
That one was a head scratcher.
Maybe we just weren't smart enough. We weren't as smart as Lucy, the titular character of Lucy.
I heard she was very smart.
But yeah, we're all here and we can see all of our faces, which is great.
Yay.
That is step one of a live stream, and we have successfully crossed that threshold at 6 minutes after 7, after the hour.
We're almost professionals.
One of these days we'll get it right. And then I'll mess it up on purpose so we keep our track record going.
So, John, how was the rest of Gathering?
Yes.
All of Gathering was fantastic. It was super great. I played a ton of games and got to play some upcoming stuff. And we went to Toronto and got to have an awesome meal with Michael.
Always a bonus.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And it was funny, the last year, I had played like almost as many games at the Gathering of Friends as I played like the rest of the year. Like, it was almost 1 for 1. Because I came back and we didn't play games very often. We have the fancy table and we don't play games on it. But hopefully once we get to the new place where we have like the whole room it's not the dining room, it is literally the game room, then that'll change.
That'll be nice.
Also, I feel like, kind of speaking on what we're talking about today with wrestling, like shows like AEW Dynamite and like all the wrestling shows seem great to like do something else while you're watching it, right? Like, it's not, I don't necessarily need to pay attention to every single bit, although if this last week I would have missed a Canadian Destroyer in the most unlikely match of the night. Like, if you would have, if you'd have come to me at the start of AEW Dynamite and like told me all the matchups and been like, in what match do you think there's like 8 matches here, in what match do you think there's going to be a Canadian Destroyer? It would have taken me 8 guesses.
And then when you told him, he still would have been like, no, I don't think so.
I don't believe you.
Is tonight the night that I get to find out what a Canadian Destroyer is?
Ooh.
Oh, that is, I mean, that could be a fun little side thing.
Could be.
But yeah, I mean, we can just like Google Canadian Destroyer and get you.
Should we have him guess what he thinks it is?
Oh, sure. What do you think a Canadian destroyer is?
I mean, I assume that it's either like a very large lumberjack, or maybe a poison maple syrup bottle. That's like a trap that they set out for Canadian wrestlers.
Oh, I like that it's turned into a Bugs Bunny cartoon now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well,
it's
actually,
like
it's just
it feels very Elmer Fudd.
It's the Canadian version of the Marvel character Destroyer. So, like, the Asgards have their version of Destroyer. This one just like has flannel. Like,
he's really polite.
I'm all in for Canadian Destroyer then.
I'm just gonna go over to our play overlay, and oh yeah, that's still not Jay. I don't know why I thought that would be.
No.
Don't worry, I'll find you. When you were having camera issues, it literally swapped you and John. So I had to swap your cameras, and then in the process of doing so, my stream of me showing you my screen also is now your camera. So we're good now. I fixed it. We're there. So John, you see what I'm streaming here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a Canadian destroyer.
Oh my, like a reverse pile driver?
It's a front flipping pile driver.
Yeah.
That's a new move. I've never seen that before.
Oh, it's been around for a really long time. It's been my favorite wrestling move since I literally saw this guy do it for the first time. His name's Petey Williams.
Is he Canadian?
I don't know if he actually is. He might be.
I guess if I go back, I can find out because Petey Williams, Canadian professional wrestler. Yeah.
There he is. Yeah, he was part of Team Canada in Impact Wrestling. There was a group of guys.
Those are words.
That move is just so good.
But yeah, so it also became my favorite wrestling move, and there are certain wrestlers who will do them like all the time. Like anytime there's a match with X and Y, or X, Y, and Z as the trio of them, I know that I'm going to get a Canadian destroyer and I'm going to be happy. Or multiple, like they're all going to do one at the same time, and it's fantastic. In Dynamite last night, I got a Canadian destroyer in the most unlikely place, and I was still very happy.
It's very interesting when you get one of just out in the wild. There's some companies that don't like push those kinds of moves. So like WWE, you don't see that move like ever. But in AEW, you see that move like once a show. And it is like it's like looking for Waldo.
I mean,
a little bit.
I feel like if the conversation had started out, I got a Canadian destroyer in the most unaccepted space, with all of this context, I definitely would have imagined it was a sexual move.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that's funny.
I got a Canadian destroyer in the parking lot. It was nuts.
Son of a bitch.
Canadian destroyer. It's an impressive move.
It is, and like there's not a lot of people that can do it successfully. Like there's like there are the ones who are known for it, and then there are people who like you see it done, you're like, whoa, unexpected. And last night was definitely like a whoa, unexpected one.
And it's a cool move because wrestling is kind of like a dance back and forth. The people are trying to protect each other.
Yeah.
All of that motion pretty much comes from the person receiving the pile driver. They do all the work so they land on their own head. But then it's that person's job doing the pile driver to protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super fun when you spot one in the wild like we did last night.
So I guess do we just get into it? Do we just start guessing wrestlers? Is that?
Yeah.
We just get into it.
I think maybe we should just ask a few questions first.
Sure.
Just to kind of determine maybe John's knowledge. Like, where's the line drawn? Because I'm going into it assuming you have no knowledge at all, even the most household name. But I assume that there are at least a couple of people that you know.
Yeah, I mean, I followed, like, I watched the very first WrestleMania and watched wrestling for probably about 8 years after that, up until probably about the Stone Cold era. Okay. And then I quit watching for a couple of years and then started watching again.
Oh.
And then I probably watched until about 2003-ish.
Okay.
So I mean, like, some of the best classic stuff, Hell in the Cell, like all that stuff, I was there for it.
Okay, so you'll know Golden Age and then some Attitude Era stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Then I think he'll know more of these than...
Well, I kind of knew...
I think he'll do pretty good.
I kind of knew John had some knowledge, so some of these were like... I don't want to say softballs, but like to get basically like, here's the demo, right? Like, here's how this is going to work. Kind of ones I kind of put at the beginning of like, you should probably know who this is, I assume.
You don't want to start me off with the high level stuff. You want to ease me into it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But for my own wrestling knowledge, I have a gap. Like, I watched, obviously Jay and we watched growing up, and then it was like high school was kind of wrestling, mostly not watching wrestling. And then like 2007 to like 2009 or 10 or something, I was watching a lot of wrestling. And then that until like 2020, there was just nothing. Like it's just a blank for me. I know some of the names, but that's only through context of other things. So there were some of these that I put on here not knowing who they were.
Okay.
So
or some of them on the list of potentials that I'm just like, that's going to be, Jay's going to have to tell me who that is.
When WWE branched out, I pretty much know I wouldn't say an expert knowledge. I have a really high level of knowledge of when WWE took off. Up until, I would say, probably 2000... No, I was probably still watching right around 2009, but it was probably 2009, 2010 where I fell off, and I fell off pretty much until AEW started, which was just before the pandemic. I'd catch stuff here and there, but I always kind of knew all the like key players. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch, but I always kept up with the key people, and then AEW reignited. It's like it's almost like there's something to fight for there. There's you always had like the WCW, WWE, like Monday Night Wars. That's some of the most interesting, compelling wrestling that happened. And while this isn't that, it is an awesome alternative to get eyes on people that you would never have saw otherwise. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that would be kind of my knowledge. But this will be fun. I'm really excited.
I think too, it's like there's much more eyes on the development side of things. Where like in WWE they introduced NXT, which was like their development brand. Like these are going to be the next stars or whatever. And then you get to see like a lot of the dark matches, which are normally like every wrestling event. There's matches that happen before what gets shown on TV, and they're called dark matches. So basically like your intro stand-up comics, right? Like they're the ones before the ones.
Yeah, the jobbers and your...
Yeah.
And now like AEW, there's just their YouTube channel. Just you can watch multiple every dark match that they have on 2 different nights.
And some of those people are bigger than some of the people that wrestle on the big show. The Wednesday and the Friday shows.
Not people that wrestle on top of the big show, the wrestler.
Well, he's there, but yeah, they don't wrestle on top of him. He's good. He's a big guy.
That'd be a really good match. That'd be like the new Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. Were you there when he was thrown off Big Show?
He fell 8 feet. and was fine.
Yeah, he fell 8 feet and he slightly tweaked his ankle.
All right, want to do this?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, John, you can see the screen that I'm sharing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me know if you can't read anything, but this says "Guess That Wrestler." It wasn't gonna be "Guess That Gimmick," but it's kind of like melded into both. Like you're gonna have a chance to guess the wrestler. If you guess the wrestler, then you can guess their gimmick, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But a lot of wrestlers' gimmick is just sort of like they're a person who wrestles. You know what I mean? So it wasn't.
Yeah, like Brutus the Barber Beefcake was a barber and a wrestler.
Yeah.
And that's the name.
Yep, and some wrestlers have had multiple gimmicks as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Kane used to be the Irving R. Shyster, the IRS accountant wrestler.
You're gonna do just fine. You're gonna do great.
You're gonna do great.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right, let's get into number 1.
All right, so how it works. You're going to have 3 guesses to guess the wrestler. So the first is just going to be just their picture. So you can guess it just based on, what they got going on. If you do get it based on what they got going on, which means you kind of know them, then you can also just we'll talk about their gimmick or, real name, that kind of thing. And then the second one is their actual real name, which is usually not at all helpful.
Now you mean they're like Buck Wild real name, not like
yeah.
Dwayne Johnson.
No, his real name
Some of those
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. Right.
And then the third will be like what their gimmick is, which you can kind of see on this first example, which I'm assuming you're going to know. The gimmick kind of gives away the goat there a little bit. Like it. Let's just get into it. Let's go. Yeah. All right. So the first one here, guess that wrestler.
That's The Undertaker.
That's great. Do you happen to know The Undertaker's real name?
It's real boring. God, I know it, but I haven't heard it.
It is so boring.
It's almost not fit for him.
No, it's not.
I wouldn't expect it.
Like, did you ever look this person in the eyes and call them Mark?
No, I did not call them Mark.
Their real name is Mark Calloway.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, Claire knew. Claire beat us.
And I mean, his gimmick is that he's an undead Undertaker.
Like word for word, what I wrote.
Okay, so that's not exactly what I wrote in our preparations for this, because he's had a few gimmicks over the years, and I had some fun with him. I wrote an undead cowboy who was a motorcycle-loving paranormal Undertaker.
I think that's a much better one. That's fully encompassing. I was not watching during the motorcycle bad boy phase.
What a weird twist. But it worked.
Yeah, well, I mean, you lose a lot of the supernatural once you don't have Paul Bearer there to carry the weight.
Yeah. I wish I could do his voice.
Oh, he had a Undertaker.
Yeah, he always had that like, oh yes voice. That was really fun.
But yeah, you got it. This is The Undertaker. We saw the other information. Fun fact, he has a phobia of cucumbers.
That's incredible. Is that true?
100%.
According to...
Or he himself?
He himself. In an interview with him and his wife, it is talked about that he can't, his wife has said that he can't even be in the same room as a cucumber.
I mean, I kind of want to use that in a gimmick. Yeah,
exactly, right?
It's like kryptonite, you know what I mean?
It's like a cat when a cat sees a cucumber and it freaks the fuck out, because it doesn't know what to do with that information. That's like that, but for Mark Calloway. But no, apparently his daughter will on his birthday start just hide cucumbers everywhere in their house.
It's like a good cabbage.
Yeah.
His daughter's she has the cucumber. He's like, you better not. Just kind of poking it toward him.
I see one goddamn cucumber.
It'll get you.
All right, so you are undefeated currently. I have no way to keep track of scores, but visually at least. But you're undefeated. All right, John, can you
get one out of the three to count?
Do what?
I said I only have to get one out of the three things for it to count.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess we can go top score. I'll give you 1 point for everything that you knew. So you knew the name and you knew the gimmick. So that's 2 points so far.
All right, maximum 3 points per wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'd know him anywhere.
That is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you know Stone Cold Steve Austin's real name?
It's not Steve Austin, is it? I don't feel like he's original enough to come up with a different name.
That's fair. Do you think any of his name is real?
No. I think no part of his name is real.
Steven Anderson was his original. Yeah. Claire's saying legally it is Steve Austin. Possibly changed. Did he change it? Is that what you're saying, Claire? Like it's changed now to Steve Austin?
I think I'd get half a point for that then.
That's easier for tech. Well, you didn't think he had any of his name.
Yeah, but then I mean, at first I said it's just Steve Austin, right?
Oh, Claire's saying it got changed. All right, I will give you the point. My information is out of date, which is fair. This sort of like tandem spreadsheet that Jay and I did was I started doing the spreadsheet and then we continued doing the spreadsheet and then at some point I just switched over to doing the slideshow and ignored the spreadsheet while Jay was inputting information into the spreadsheet. And
I mean, his gimmick is that he's a beer drinking bad boy who loves Jesus, likes to quote the Bible a bunch, and stuns everybody. And it's the most devastating move in wrestling history.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Plain spoken, blue collar working Texan. That's not what I wrote, but apparently that's what Jay changed it to.
That is literally what it. Like when I looked it up, that was the first thing that popped up.
I like the idea.
Mine had middle finger given in it, which was like all hyphenated as one word, which is great.
There's no mention of beer drinking here. That's a big part of his personality.
That was part of mine also.
Collar.
I don't think a lot of the beer makes it into his mouth. I mean, most of it's like a very Juggalo-esque spray of beer.
I will say, we say like loves Jesus, quotes the Bible a lot, but like surprisingly, Steve Austin is one of the most progressive of like all of the Attitude Era wrestlers from what I've seen.
Yeah, I remember that there was the whole. Well, I mean, they talked about it in the Idols song, right? I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin putting homophobes in coffins.
Yeah.
Like, because I think he spoke out about something like that with Undertaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
If you haven't listened to Idols, listen to Idols. Was the song Colossus? Name of the song?
Yeah, Colossus. I still think it's a song.
Yeah, his quote. Where the whole 316 came from was at King of the Ring 1996. I had to look up which year that was. And I don't remember what wrestler he was talking about, but he was talking about the other wrestler, the guy that he was going to be going up against. He's like, you talk about John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 says, "I just whipped your ass."
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't typically quote the Bible, but I knew that the 3:16 thing was in there.
It came out of it. It just came out of a promo, and then the next week it was on every single shirt in the audience.
Yeah. Yep.
Signs everywhere, even now.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, even to this day. You'll either get that, or he started going. He started asking during promos that people were talking to him. He would always say like, "What?" And so what became a big thing. There was what in the exact same font with a big question mark and a skull at the bottom of the question mark. Because, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look how good that sneer is. This is just like classic. Like he was great as a heel. He was great as a face.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really did it all.
He did do it all.
I'm avoiding going to the next slide, which tells you that you got it correct. That is obviously his name. Because once you see the fun fact, that's all we're going to be talking about.
I love this fun fact.
So fun fact.
I knew that.
Fun fact: Stone Cold accidentally shit his pants during a wrestling match with Yokozuna. Oh god, it's so fun.
I feel like I read that in an autobiography, like his or Mick Foley's.
Yeah. It would have probably. I think it definitely would have been in his. But I caught it on an interview.
You caught
and
it?
it's probably. Yeah, I didn't catch that, but there's been a lot of like jokes at just this fun fact over this past like week. But I saw or I had heard about it, and then somebody in an interview asked him about it based upon the writing in the book, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that happened." He's like, I had a diet change, and I was fighting Yokozuna, and he picked me up over his head and threw me down with some authority, and it wasn't a massive one, but it was enough for me to tell him, "Hey, let's go home." And I immediately ran to the back to the showers. I was like, "Oh damn!" So he's broke his neck and shit his pants in a wrestling ring. So.
Not at the same time. 2 different occasions.
Well, I don't know what happened with the broken neck. He didn't really go into details of what happened out, So.
But lots of details about shitting his pants.
But lots of details about shitting his pants and Yokozuna. Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate a person who will admit they shit their pants. I mean, everybody's done it.
Yeah. There was the person that I worked with.
I love the cricket sound for a second. It's like everyone's done it.
Or maybe it's just me and Steve Austin. That's the one thing we have in common.
There was a person that I worked with who at the factory that we both worked at, John.
I assumed you were going to say at the office that you and I shared.
No. They came in on like a Monday or something, and they were just like, "Oh, yeah, it was a rough weekend. We were drinking and stuff." And they were like, "My girlfriend shit her pants like while drinking again." And I was so the way that they said it was like, "Yeah, she shit her pants from drinking too much again." Like it immediately clued me in that this was something that has happened more than once. Obviously, because of the again, but like the way that they said it, I was like, "How many times has that happened?" Like, and he's like, "I don't know, like last year, like 5." I was like, "What?"
Whoa.
I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just a regular occurrence. Apparently, you just drink too much and shit your pants.
So I think I could probably do a whole episode of this on my on one of my old bosses. Just the wild stuff that they would say. But one of the wild things that he did, it was well too freaking early for what he was about to tell me. And I walk in, and before I even clock in, he's standing off to the side. He's like, come here. And I came over, and he's like, "Yeah, I was a little late this morning. I didn't get to all the counts." I'm like, "That's cool, man. I can do it." He's like, "Yeah, I shit all over my couch." And I did that. Like, I was like, there's no way I heard that man correct. He's like, "Yeah, it was really bad." And I, like, confused, start walking over to the computer to clock in. And I'm thinking about it more. I'm like, he has children. Was he just walking around pantsless? Like, it went through the pants or he wasn't wearing them. Either way, I'm terrified. And it was not even a year later. We were doing, like, counts. And he's like, "Hey, no, he didn't even, it was just casually in conversation. He's like, "Yeah, today was really rough. My son shit on the couch." And I was like, "Oh, teaching him young, huh?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What?" It's just like just a snap. What? Nothing. And he just kind of kept going.
Oh.
I don't know. I'll always wonder about, was it a pants on or pants off situation?
There's no good outcome there.
No,
Yeah,
not at all.
So anyway, hey John, can you guess that wrestler?
That's Macho Man Randy Savage.
That is Macho Man Randy Savage.
I also don't know. I'm gonna go like probably 0 for their real names.
I mean, you might be surprised sometimes.
Yeah.
Randall Savagerson.
I gotta say, you're gonna get points because his name is Randall.
It is Randall.
Mario Poffo.
Yeah,
that's a good name.
Yeah, his brother was
bad
Lenny.
Wrestling name, but good name in general.
His brother, was Lenny Poffo. He was the I don't know if you know him. He was the like he always had on like his cap and gown like he was graduating. He played like an intellect, the educator or something. Can't remember his.
Yeah.
He's just always graduating. He's like, no,
pretty much.
That was 12th college. I'm just beating them all.
He wore a cowboy hat with the fringe, and the other guy wore a cap and gown.
Very hat-centric family.
Do you know the gimmick for Macho Man Randy Savage?
He loves Slim Jims.
Sure.
He likes snapping into things. He does a mean Kool-Aid Man impression. I mean, I think he was just like a star question mark, not like Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but like
right.
I don't know.
This one's hard to nail down.
He was always just the Macho Man.
I didn't know what to write. Some of these I just looked up like what was their gimmick, right?
Yeah.
Claire says, did he really have a gimmick or was he just over the top? Which, true, exactly. But I put like a crazed, egomaniacal bully, right? Because he was always bullying. Like his main thing is he was a bully to other people, right? And it was always about him.
Yeah, he played a heel for a long time, and it was always about him. And it
I think almost exclusively, right?
About Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah,
he was obsessed. His character was obsessed, and then it might have bled into his real life.
He was a very one-dimensional Bowser-esque character.
Yeah. But I could not. I looked at him for a long time, and I was like, "What is he? He's a bedazzled cowboy. I don't know what he is. What is this guy?
He's a macho man. If you look at,
he is a macho man.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. This is the different fun fact than the one that I put. I think they're both equally good.
I like that James is just one step ahead of you, changing all the slides, so you're just as surprised as I am when we get there.
Well, I went through second because he's like, "Oh, you can just." I wasn't aware that it was like. He sent me a link, but it wasn't like great on mobile, so I was just like flipping through it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is good." But then we were changing this Excel at the same time, and he's like, "You can just go through." I was like, "Oh, just let me grab the computer," and I did that like last night early this morning.
Yeah. I had found both these facts. I had picked the other one, and then Jay, you picked this one. So, but I think they're both good. So in 2003 he did release a rap album called "Be a Man."
I did listen to it in its entirety.
You did?
That was like
wow. It made me a better man.
Around the same time as his Bonesaw cameo, right, in Spider-Man.
Which, yeah.
The other fact is that the person
use that for the soundtrack always puzzled me.
Right? The other fact is that the person who is responsible for the nickname Macho Man is his mother, who saw it in an issue of Reader's Digest and heard that it was a name that was going to be on the rise.
Nice.
He's like, people are going to be saying this. And he's like, turns out she was right.
She was.
I don't know why, but as far as wrestlers go, I loved Macho Man Randy Savage.
He cut such good promos.
Yeah.
He cut great promos. His in-ring work was really, really cool. And he did that he made the elbow drop from the top rope look like it was like the most painful thing ever.
Yeah, he 100% owned the elbow drop.
And people still don't do it like he did. He had this turned his body a specific way.
Yeah, and hit his elbow. He really sold it.
Yeah, very well.
What's next? I don't even remember. Hey, can you guess a tag team?
I can. These are the two brothers from Ohio. They did all the extreme stuff. They brought the TLC matches to the WWF.
Yep.
They are the brothers Guido.
Ooh, that'd be great though. I like it. The brothers Guido.
I can't remember their names.
So, if I give you their you'll get another guess. Because it's next is their real names. Do you want to guess their real names? I don't think you do, but I think the real names are really going to get this over the finish line for you.
Billy and Thatcher. Billy on the left, Thatcher's on the right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. That's a Thatcher for sure. Yeah.
He looks
if
like,
either of them's gonna be Thatcher. So their real names are Matt and Jeff Hardy. They are the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
And I already gave you a point for the gimmick because you were 100% correct. Their gimmick was they were the Extreme.
They were Team Extreme.
Team Extreme was kind of their most famous team name.
Yeah,
it was them. And
they were doing backyard wrestling here in Ohio. I think they're from somewhere in Central Ohio, maybe.
They're from Cameron, North Carolina.
Oh, then maybe there's somebody else from Ohio. I thought there was a tag team from Ohio.
Ohio-based wrestlers. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers that come from Ohio. Got Ohio.
I thought it was a younger team, but I could be wrong. The thing I know most about them is I watched a WWE thing probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it viewed like a telenovela, and it was just like a remote shot of them in a mansion. Like one of them had a drone and was flying it around. I was like, I have no idea what's happening in wrestling anymore.
Okay. Yeah, you were right on. Matt on the left, he changed his character. He reinvented himself. He became broken and then woken Matt Hardy. And which is kind of just this crazy persona that he takes on where he thinks he's living in this vessel that's Matt Hardy's body. He thinks he's this entity from wherever, all time and space. And it's very, very corny. It's very corny, but it's so funny to watch. And
it's so bad.
And yeah, no, it's so bad, but they do a new, Matt kind of invented it, where instead of the wrestling taking place in the ring, they go to a different remote location and they shoot everything that happens at this different place. And that place happens to be his house. So it's the Hardy compound, and he has a wrestling ring and all this crazy stuff set up. And he has this match with somebody else, and just all this craziness ends up happening, where all of their friends end up kind of coming out of the woodwork, pointing at things that have happened, in their past. And we're about to have actually another one. There's going to be one from AEW coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think this will be Ian. This will be your first one. Have you seen one yet?
No, I did not know about this.
It's so silly.
I saw some of the awful promos that they did from the Hardy compound, but
yeah, they did. They had this match back when Matt first joined AEW, and in one spot they would put they had this. It was basically a Falls Count Anywhere, and it was at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, which is the people who own AEW, is the owner of the Jags. And they have a spot that has a pool on one of the maybe VIP decks or whatever. They threw Matt in the pool and they started to put him under and drown him. And when he came back up, he was wearing a different persona. And he started rattling off stuff from that persona, and then dunked him again, and he came back up and he had a third persona on, and it was ridiculous. So whatever happens in the next one is going to be bananas because he keeps one-upping it.
That's incredible. And their patented move was the Swanton Bomb, right?
Yeah, that was Jeff Hardy's, the one on the right. That was his.
I thought they both did it.
Matt did the Twist of Fate.
Yeah.
Do like a spinning like cutter, like a neck, like a neck breaker, and then Jeff would do the top rope. Spot.
Jeff Hardy now hits the Swanton Bomb like he is a bag of bricks, and you are anything underneath a bag of bricks that you drop a bag of bricks onto. Because usually you're supposed to hit it and like roll off, but now he just kind of hits it like square on his back instead of like rolling off and letting the like most of the momentum go to the lower back. It is just full back to your chest contact.
Maybe that's why I think they're from Ohio, because of Swanton, Ohio. Maybe I for some reason thought they were from there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I can do that.
But yeah, you were 100% correct. They were part of the first ever TLC tables, ladders, and chairs match in WWE, which they were against the tag team of Edge and Christian, and they lost.
And I think the Dudleys were in that as well, right?
It was like a
triple
thing.
threat. Yeah, because the Dudleys brought the tables, the Hardys brought the ladders, and Edge and Christian brought the chairs.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like one of their biggest match types that they use often.
WWE to this day, when they show like rapid fire things that have happened from WWE, they always have that shot of Jeff swinging from the title with no ladder underneath him and Edge spearing him off.
Yeah, that's such an
iconic.
All right, John.
Yes.
Next one is, can you guess that wrestler?
That's not a real wrestler.
It's real to me, damn it.
That's not. I know.
Are you saying wrestling's fake? What are you trying to say, John?
I'm saying this is a fake wrestler, not a real wrestle boy. This is Danny DeVito from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Right?
Claire's Big Show.
This
is Sideshow. This is Sideshow.
Looks a lot like Teen Con Bundy in this.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Do you know the character's real name?
Daniel DeVito.
It's Frank Reynolds, unfortunately.
Oh.
He did say Frank Reynolds. I think I'm going to give him that point.
All right, we'll give him that point. Do you know the gimmick for this specific wrestler?
He's gonna shit himself.
That's very close.
Throws trash all around the ring and then starts eating garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shits out.
I had wrote down a smaller Andre the Giant, but with trash.
This is Frank the Trash Man Reynolds. He's the Trash Man.
Yep.
And he wins his inaugural match by bashing his opponent with a trash can, causing them to bleed from their neck. Got him real good.
He nicked him. That's what he got. He got it a little bit.
They didn't blade. He nicked him.
They didn't need to. He set him up.
All right. Back to the real ones. All right. Can you name this wrestler?
Yeah, that's Mankind. Mick Foley.
Do you know the real name of this wrestler?
Well,
I didn't. I thought it was Mick Foley. I didn't know he had a different name.
All right, I'll give it to you. It's Michael, but yeah.
Michael Foley.
Michael Foley. Can you name this wrestler?
That's Dude Love.
Yes.
You can give me
this wrestler.
Cactus Jack, the hardcore legend.
3 for 3.
And he was Cactus Jack when he wrestled in Japan as well. That's why they call him hardcore legend, because he would do the hardcore matches over there.
Yeah. The fun fact here is probably one of my favorite fun facts that I found for any of the wrestlers. Because it was just random. Like, this just showed up. Like,
he talks about it in his book, I think.
Yeah. He's a big fan of musician Tori Amos. Yeah, okay.
So I actually wrote down...
The commercial comes on.
I wrote down the gimmick for each of them. Cactus Jack was described as a dastardly, bloodthirsty, and uncompromisingly physical brawler from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yep.
Mankind, an eerie, mentally deranged lunatic who was masked and spent his spare time dwelling in mechanical rooms and boiler rooms.
He does like boiler rooms. Every place he goes.
Dude Love is a relaxed, fun-loving, jive-talking, tie-dye shirt-wearing hippie. And then for Mick Foley, I just wrote the lovable face of hardcore.
I figured we wouldn't have to be able to go through all 4 of them. Like, it would be a lot to put all 4 of them in.
I see. I really wanted to, just because
I think that would have been the move.
I thought it would have been really funny to just keep going to the next one and it just being him.
I figured John knew who this was, so I was gonna be like, we were like, the joke's gonna be over on the first one, right? So we go through 3 more.
Right.
I think it's better if it's someone with like multiple gimmicks that like John has no clue who it is, and we just keep showing them again, like keep bringing them back, and you're like, that looks similar.
Do I get bonus points for knowing that his sock's name is Sacco?
I will give you a bonus point for that. Yes, that is quality information.
For Cactus Jack, he had his ear ripped off in Japan. For Mankind, his fun fact was being thrown off the Hell in the Cell wasn't his worst injury in the match with The Undertaker.
Yeah, where he put his tooth through his nose.
That would be the one.
Yeah.
Or whatever damage happened to his spine when he fell through the top of that cage. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Or all the thumbtacks.
Or the thumbtacks probably didn't help.
That was after both those things. That was like, we were talking about the things in the order that they happened. It was thrown off the top of the cage, went up
to the back,
fell through the cage,
onto the chair.
The chair floated up in front of his head, and then his head slammed the mat, and the chair slammed his face.
Oh, Claire's disputing, saying that the sock's name is Mr. Sacco, not just Sacco.
He would call him just Sacco a lot of times too, not always Mr. Sacco.
I'll leave the I don't
Mr. Sacco was his father.
For Dude Love, I wrote down almost won the 1998 Royal Rumble, and that's because he came out as all 3 characters. And
he would come out, get eliminated, and then go back, and then come back out.
I do remember that Royal Rumble. It was so good.
And he is a New York Times best-selling author. So I wrote that for Mick Foley.
I need to read that book because I feel like he.
I think he's a multi-time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this, I saw. Yeah, looking up stuff for this, it looked like he had written multiple books. So I still haven't read them. I want to. I think Claire had one of them.
You wrote a kid book too.
Yeah. All right, hey John, do you know who this is?
That was after my time, so I'm.
Was it? Was it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Black Widow.
I could see.
Can I give you points for Black Widow, but points for trying. Real name is Amy Christine Dumas.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get that.
Yep, not helpful. Yeah. And then the gimmick. Do you know her gimmick? She was a part of something that we've already mentioned.
Part of the Hardy Boys?
I mean, I'll take it. Yeah, she was part of Team Extreme.
Yep.
I will give you that point.
Yeah, okay. Did she wrestle under that name?
No. I haven't told you her wrestling name yet. There's still a chance to guess. Do you know who the third member of Team Extreme with the Hardys was?
No.
So this is Lita.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Once you hear it, you know, it's...
Yeah.
Yep.
Broke her neck on the set of the show Dark Angel.
Doing her finishing move. The at the time, I think it was known as the Lita Karana, which was a Hurricane Rana from the top rope. Jump off the top rope, wrap your legs around their neck, and slam their head around.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that on the set of the show and landed on her neck, and I think she broke it in 2 places or maybe 3 places.
Jesus.
And the first person she called to get advice was Stone Cold Steve Austin because he broke his neck previously.
Yeah. Claire says, time out, there were 2 gimmicks, the Hardys and technically the R-rated couple with Edge, which is
That's
true. But a lot of times with these, I pick like what would be like their most well known, or the one like I pick one gimmick basically for most of these. If you happen to know the other ones and you still get the point. But I'm not putting everything for every wrestler on here, specifically because time.
There's a lot. Well, I also look at it like this: she came out recently, and when she came out, she was more sporting the, every time she comes out, she's more sporting the Team Extreme rather than the Rated R. So.
And it seemed like they downplayed a lot of the stuff that happened during the Rated R stuff with Edge. They don't talk about a lot of it now.
Yeah, no, they don't show that too much.
Oh, no, they don't. My other fact for Lita was the fact that she has a winning record against like most of the male wrestlers. Because a lot of like back in that time they were doing a ton of like intergender matches or tag teams or trios matches or whatever, and the Hardys and Team Extreme would usually win. So she has like a more winning record than even like The Rock against a lot of wrestlers, which I thought was crazy. That's awesome.
That's really interesting.
All right, we got. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, the other fun fact is up until about 2 weeks ago, she was the women's tag team champion.
Oh, wow.
In WWE. Yeah. So she came back from her neck injury. And I don't know if you consider it a final run or anything, but WWE gave her a chance to do some more stuff.
So like all of Team Extreme was back? That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And while it was really interesting. I think it was a couple of years. It was more than a couple of years ago. But I went to a con, and CM Punk was in WWE. It was the height of his career, and everyone was flocking over to him. I just saw Lita just hanging out. So I just ended up having a cool conversation with Lita for about 20 minutes. And cool. She signed some stuff for me. I gave one of the things to Claire. Yeah, it was just my cool little interaction with Lita. She's just really into punk music and like lucha style wrestling.
Huh.
All right. Hey, John, can you guess this wrestler?
The actor from Stream, David Arquette.
That is David Arquette.
David Arquette?
So you got the real name.
Yep.
Do you know the gimmick of David Arquette in wrestling? And this one is kind of nebulous, but it's out there.
Yes, because I wanted to watch his documentary that he just made recently, or that was made about him.
Uh-huh. Do you know what that was called?
Oh. He like never gives up or something like that. I don't know.
You cannot kill David Arquette.
Yeah. Yeah, never give up.
I put that as the gimmick because I think it was like the closest to something of a gimmick that we kind of had.
I wrote down actor turned wrestler. I didn't know, you know.
But yeah, so this is former WCW heavyweight champion David Arquette. Because for promotion for one of his films, he came on and won the WCW heavyweight champion, basically against his will. Like, he didn't think it was a good idea, but the booking agent at the time thought that it was going to be a good idea to have him win the championship and like, come back for a couple episodes and a couple of weeks and be the champion and just do things like that. And everyone hated it.
Hey, Dennis Rodman was already on the show. We knew what was happening. That was going down real fast. Sinking ship.
But yeah, so he was the heavyweight champion for I think a period of like 3 weeks while promoting a movie, and then that was like his legacy in wrestling for the longest time. And then he decided like he wanted to come back because he really just wanted to prove that like I could actually do this. Like I understand like that was a publicity stunt, but like I want to actually do this and get respect for wrestling because I love it.
He trained really hard, and he's actually not a terrible wrestler. So
yeah, the little bit that I saw wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
But he chose a really bad match.
So yeah, he wanted to like again the you cannot kill David Arquette kind of angle was like he wanted to do a hardcore match. I'm not gonna say against two because we'll get there. Don't worry. But like he wanted to do a hardcore match against someone who was very well known for hardcore matches and ended up being hospitalized because he got cut in the neck by the broken end of a fluorescent light tube.
It wasn't just that. There's so much more to unpack with this.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries.
Ultimately, yeah, he was bleeding pretty bad, and it wasn't just a hardcore match. It was this more narrowed, focused wrestling style that people love, the death match.
Yeah.
So a little too rich for my blood, but I think that's where we'll leave it.
It's a little more on the edge. Yeah, David Arquette is a fun wrestler, but actor, but actually a wrestler. Thought I'd throw that in here. Do you know who this is? Can you guess this wrestler? So this is where we're gonna kind of shift into maybe just we'll try for gimmicks because you probably don't know some of the people by name and the names are going to be hard to get. So just any information that you can give about this person or what you think they're really good at.
I mean, really good at hardcore matches. He's a real bleeder boy.
I'm going to give you a point for that. Okay,
I will as well.
Real name is Nicholas William Wilson.
It's almost what I said.
Real close.
And yeah, gimmick is hardcore matches. I will give you a chance at the fun fact here. He's famous for a specific hardcore death match that he was in. Do you know which one it is?
Oh God, was it a Japanese death match?
No. I will say I have done the ordering of this slideshow for a reason.
Okay. No, I'm not sure.
You can't think of any death matches that you've heard of, that you've heard about since we started this.
The past 3
minutes.
The one that David Arquette was in?
He is the wrestler that wrestled against David Arquette in the death match. And his gimmick is the King of Ultraviolence, which, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
He usually has a pizza cutter that he brings with him.
From
home.
Yeah, right out of the drawer.
Goes over the foreheads with it.
I love a good hardcore gimmick. Like I used to love New Jack, who always had the stapler.
Oh yeah.
Staple people in the forehead.
Oh, New Jack, man.
So this is Nick Gage is his name, and he almost killed David Arquette, even though the documentary says you cannot kill David Arquette. Other fun facts that I know because Jay had me watch a Between the Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, that show's so great.
Yeah, he was one of the episodes about him specifically, and I watched it in preparation for him doing a death match with Chris Jericho at the time. Like he was like someone like brought him in and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna do a death match," and Jericho's like, "Yeah, whatever." He's like, "Oh, I'm not wrestling. You're gonna wrestle Nick Gage," and he's like, "Uh-oh."
Which one of the three facts is unconfirmed?
That's up to Jay. I didn't say unconfirmed on any of them.
I wrote unconfirmed after the PhD. I looked it up and I saw nothing about that.
What?
At all.
I swear, I look up these facts.
I found a guy named Nick Gage that had a PhD, but it wasn't this guy.
He has his PhD in ultraviolence.
Exactly. But yeah, no, he did almost kill David
Gage, who
Arquette.
recently completed his PhD in quantum field theory at Harvard.
I need to see this because I looked it up.
Was this from prison or before prison or after?
It said 2020, so I guess after, unless he was in prison at that time. I don't remember. He did go to prison for bank robbery. That one's true. And from what I saw, he had a PhD in not only ultraviolence, but in quantum field theory.
Nice.
Wild. I looked all over for that, and I just kept coming up with a dude named Nicolas Gage. That is not him.
I searched like Nick Gage wrestler PhD, so like it got me there a little bit faster. But yeah, very
Crazy.
Interesting person. Very strange way to live your life.
My favorite fact is the bank robbery portion. Every time he comes to the ring, he has a bandana over his mouth and his face.
Uh-huh.
And he comes to the ring, and these deathmatch fans love him. Like it is like this guy is their guy. And
so you can see
he comes to the
MDK
ring
on his shirt. It stands for murder, death, kill.
Yeah. I heard MDK before, got that.
And when he robbed this bank, he didn't cover his face.
He didn't even wear his bandana that he always
No bandana. He walked into the bank and said, "Hey," basically said, "Hey, I'm Nick Gage. Here's my social security number. I would like to have all your money, please. I got a gun." What? Like he didn't do all that, but he might as well have because he's Nick. Anybody who saw the video was like, "Oh, that's Nick."
Claire says, wait, did I see the Takers going to AEW, or was that just a wish? I assume that's just a wish. I think WWE is perfectly happy with Undertaker and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that one's pretty safe.
I don't think that one's. Yeah, that's one of the ones that I don't think it'll ever switch.
Nah, legend contract.
Yeah, Nick Gage, interesting fellow.
Yep.
All right, John. Hey, do you know who this is?
That's Sting.
It is Sting. Do you know Sting's real name?
Sting. He definitely changed his real name to Sting.
I mean, that's the tactic. Fair. It's going to be true sometimes.
Stinger Reno.
Real name is Steve Borden. It's another Steve.
Yeah.
Steves.
A lot of Steves.
Yeah, just to gravitate right to wrestling.
Yeah. Do you know Sting's gimmick?
Yeah, he's basically the Crow.
That is exactly the information that I found on the,
Yeah.
the inspiration for this look is that he is the Crow.
Yep. The Crow came out, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm this now."
Yep.
Because before it was like the tight arm bands with like tassels coming off from it.
He was like a surfer.
Yeah, he had like face paint and he had blonde hair.
Yeah, and like the Ultimate Warrior style, like tight arm wrap.
He was a tag team with the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah,
they were a team. I don't remember if he wore those things on his. I remember the Ultimate Warrior pretty vividly, always having them.
Oh yeah,
I remember him. He might have had them though, but he was very colorful.
Yeah, I wrote Dark Vigilante because it was kind of like that was like the generic aspect of it. It was like, Dark Vigilante, a la the Crow, but you can't say the Crow when you know what I mean, like.
But the Crow.
But the Crow.
Copy of the Crow's homework for sure.
He's like the Crow, but legally distinct.
Yep. So yeah, this is Sting. My fun fact for Sting is that he often disguises himself as Sting and hides in the crowd.
I do remember many times him coming out of the crowd as a
My fun fact was it's the Sting that Tony Schiavone is referring to when he screams, "It's Sting!"
Every time he comes out.
Every time.
Like,
and
Sting! He's so happy.
You know it's just it's Tony Khan, basically the promoter and owner of AEW, just going, "I'm still a child and I want him to scream at Sting like he did when I was a child."
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta you have to give the people what they're expecting. You gotta give the people what they want, as they say, whenever the best friends hug.
I feel like he was bullied into it though, because the Young Bucks were in there like, hey, you do that too, and like there was like 5 other people that were like, yeah, that's a good idea. Come on, will you do it? And he's like, no.
But yeah, Sting still wrestles.
Sting still wrestles.
I can't believe he still wrestles.
64 years old, and he, when you go into like an arena and they have that like entrance way that has the it's cement walls. You walk through the tunnel, and then you come out and it's all the seats. He jumped off the top of that cement entrance way just a couple months ago. 64 years old.
Through like a stack of tables, like 2-stack row of tables, just straight through.
Macho Man wrote that entire album about Sting because he's a fucking man. That's insane.
All right, hey, do you know who this is? I have an inkling that you probably don't.
No.
Unless you do, in which case I'll be very surprised.
They're magnificent, whoever they are. That's a good stink face.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody farted in the room and he just smelled it.
Yeah.
Is that curve going up to his waistband his penis? I can't tell.
I think that's part of the fabric, but also maybe.
I got nothing.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
So I'll just give you the real name. Real name
Flair.
Jamar Shipman.
Yeah.
He's a CEO of a successful alternate wrestling promotion.
Yeah. It does kind of say his name behind him.
What?
It says part of his name behind him. So if you can figure it out from that, and don't look at chat, but just figure it out from that, I'll give you the point.
ETHA and an AY at the top.
So yeah, you can also see behind him in the second row, there's like a HA, and then there's another letter there.
Is Jay Rosenthal? Is he a lawyer?
That's such a good guess.
That was really good guess.
And it's not correct, but that is a good guess. So you're saying the gimmick is
lawyer
is what now?
Or CEO.
Okay. It's had a few gimmicks, and I've included them here with a picture to kind of explain. One of the gimmicks was Black Machismo, and the gimmick that you previously saw was him being Ric Flair.
Okay. I see it.
So one more chance at the name before... His last name is shorter than what your previous guess. I will say that.
Not Rosenthal.
You do... I would lock in the first name.
Jay.
Okay. He's present. He's right down here.
I don't know. This one's tough.
So this is Jay Lethal.
Oh, that's a good name.
It is. Yeah. It's a really good wrestling name.
So
you're gonna woo off with the Nature Boy.
So back in kind of the golden age of Impact Wrestling, he started impersonating other wrestlers, and he impersonated Macho Man Randy Savage as his character Black Machismo. He does a great Macho Man impersonation. And it was so funny, like he kept it for a long time. The people thought it was a great gimmick, and he ran with it. And Ric Flair was over there, and he started acting like Ric Flair for a while, and then Ric started to notice, and they had kind of like a back and forth, and yeah, they ended up doing like a woo-off, just on live television, with the whole ripping the jacket off and throwing it on the ground and elbow drop. It had the whole bit, the whole Ric Flair WCW bit. But yeah, classic Jay Lethal.
Really, really good in AEW and Ring of Honor now. Just all around good bad guy.
Good bad guy.
Yeah.
They're the best. Heels are the best.
Love to hate him.
Yeah. Okay, can you guess this wrestler?
No.
No? Okay.
That's
Too
fair.
new.
Yep.
Yeah, the wrestler is too new. Do you have a I guess I'll just go ahead and tell you the real name. The real name is Soraya Bevis.
I would have said Beavis for sure.
I don't know if it's Beavis. It might be. There's no A,
Dang.
so I was gonna, Bevis seems nicer.
Yeah.
Beavis. I see Beavis though. You're right.
Yeah, I see Beavis.
Yeah.
So sort of from the newer era of wrestlers, sort of I guess 10, 12 years past, right?
I would go maybe a bit further. WWE.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, WWE had a weird shift after the Attitude Era where they started calling their female wrestlers, instead of women, they were divas.
Yeah.
He marks the end of
that. Claire says it's pronounced Beavis.
Beavis.
Sure, I believe you. So with that in mind, would you like to take a guess at the gimmick for this character? If everyone was being called divas at the time.
The top diva.
Well,
I mean,
at
he's
one
technically
point,
not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anti-diva. So they were all doing the, glamorous, a lot of blondes, right? For some reason in WWE at the time. And so
everybody has the same
anti-diva.
Everybody had the same proportions that Vince McMahon enjoyed. Not gonna take a jab
I will say before I reveal this, John, I've been lying to you. This is not a real wrestler. I guess it is. Kind of. Does this person look familiar in any way?
Probably. She's a singer?
Does it look like an actress, possibly playing a role in a film?
With Nick Frost.
So, John, this is. I'll give you a second. If you can guess the actress's name too, I will give you points. This is Florence Pugh.
Oh wow! Okay.
So this is Florence Pugh portraying Paige.
Okay.
Yeah, from the film Fighting with My Family. Fun fact: that movie's directed by Stephen Merchant.
Yeah.
Just
a terrible film. It's a cool film.
Is it terrible?
No,
it's not terrible. No, I thought it was fun.
The trailer looked good.
Everything with Nick Frost makes me happy too, though. So I think
the cast is really good. She's great in it. Her parents, Nick Frost, and a person from Game of Thrones whose name escapes me.
The dragon.
Yeah. Claire said she was coached by Vince Vaughn.
The Lannister mother, I don't remember her name. Oh yeah, her coach in WWE was Vince Vaughn in the movie. Yeah.
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 It was a good movie though, and based
on a real wrestler.
Yeah, based on a real wrestler, and her brother. She now wrestles and resides in AEW. Her brother is there with her, kind of as her trainer. So you watch the movie; it kind of has a cool, happy ending that everyone has a part to play.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out whenever you get a chance to watch it. It's good.
Yeah,
I do love Florence Pugh.
But I did. Didn't recognize it now. She looks very different.
except for her weird aversion to water. I don't know if either of you heard of that, but she doesn't like to drink water.
Oh, that is weird.
Thus.
Doesn't believe in hydration.
Oh,
I don't remember.
I know she's in the new movie directed by a person who she is in a relationship with. JD, John Dorian. Brain. Come on. Bring it to me.
Oh,
yeah, I'm not sure.
I got it. The guy from Scrubs.
Scrubs. Yeah.
Yep.
I was playing Dying Light, and I just keep thinking of John Dorian because there was a doctor I was looking for named Jay Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ha! He was dead.
Oh, unfortunate. All right, it'll come to me later. Anyway, hey John, do you know this wrestler? No Name says they broke up. I think. Oh no!
Oh,
After he
Also-
directed her in a film. Oh.
Also,
directed himself
no.
right out of a relationship.
All right, time to go promote our movie.
Dang.
This is a no.
This is a no.
This is a
Okay.
very, very new wrestler.
Yeah. So this is part of like the new crop from AEW. There's a lot of some newer faces. These are the ones that like I start to know. Like I knew who
Homegrown.
Paige was, kind of, but mostly just from watching that movie.
Oh, and Paige does go by her real name now, Saraya,
Yeah, Saraya in AEW.
because she couldn't take Paige from WWE.
All right. Also, don't look at the chat anymore because they're giving it away. So real name is Brittany Baker.
Okay.
Can you guess the gimmick by
She-
the outfit or?
She is a dominatrix.
I thought you were gonna guess it there for a second, but
I really did too.
you
I
started
was
off in the right
whoa.
direction, but yeah, then it went a different direction.
Dominator. She is a Canadian destroyer.
It's a DO. It's a DO. I'll say.
She's the embodiment of a Canadian destroyer.
She's a Dio. She is a domino.
All right. I'll just give it here. She is a doctor of medical dentistry. She is a dentist, and that's for real.
Yeah.
That's for real.
No, I 100% believe she's a dentist. I don't get that from the costume.
It has the little thing right on the chest. The little
The
what do they call
Punisher skull?
Like the staff of Hermes or whatever with the
the staff with the snake. Is it?
Well, see, I feel like I'm not getting the full experience because, like, I'm looking at Ian's window in a smaller window and a smaller window.
That's fair. I understand.
Like, if you told me that all those things on her jacket and pants were teeth, I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I get it.
Oh shit, are those teeth? No, I think those are just sequins.
I can't
That's a
tell.
different character.
I understand. Yeah.
This tall on my screen.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So knowing all that you
I'll give
know
you a
now,
half point.
knowing everything that you know now, can you guess this wrestler's wrestling name? It is a combination of all the information that you have been given.
Take me back one slide. Brittany Baker, DDS.
Pretty close.
So it wouldn't be DDS.
Isn't DDS the dentist?
No, I gave you the acronym here on the gimmick slide.
DMD?
So this is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So I will give you a point.
All right. Is Wednesdays a day that she wrestles and that's why it's closed?
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking this up. I actually looked up her dentistry because it's in Winter Park, which is where my dentist is.
And you just go there? You're just like, hey, can I switch dentists?
No,
nothing against you, but
the person I go to is great, but she it's not closed. It's just she doesn't work that day. There's another woman in the practice with her.
Oh, gotcha.
And it is open, but she's not available on Wednesdays.
Right. I'm just saying, if you're already going to that place for a dentist and you're not doing the one who's also a wrestler, I feel like that's just on you.
It is on me.
Yeah.
She's also full up. Not taking on new clients.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
you know how it is.
Yeah. Oh. I went to a dentist a couple times, and then they were like, hey, remember when we said that was covered by insurance? Whoops. And then so I was like, cool, I'm going to stop coming here.
Good stuff.
Yeah, she was, I think, one of the longest reigning champions in AEW so far. Right?
She had a good run. I don't know. I think she had a good year-long run.
Yeah.
But so did another wrestler that we don't see as much anymore, which is unfortunate.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first champion that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or the other
No.
champion? The second champion? She's not on here.
Maybe? No, she would have been the third champion. She's not on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, John. Let's keep going. Can you guess that wrestler?
Oh, hell yeah. Now we're getting somewhere.
This isn't a real wrestler.
Oh, but it is.
Oh, he's real.
Mario Pepperoni.
Oh.
And he's a pizza maker.
Oh, I'm going to give you 1 point, and you're going to get to guess the name again. His real name is Chris Monica. Has nothing to do with this. Just disregard completely. That's just...
Yeah, we don't even need to worry about that. I didn't know that.
I will also, because you got the gimmick, I'll tell you, best pizza maker in the business.
Yeah.
And I will say you were close with the name.
I'm giving him a half
went
point.
The wrong way. If it's not one, it's the other, I will say.
If it's not one, it's the other. So Mario. Or is it Pepperoni?
No.
Is his name Pepperoni Fucker?
That's his middle name.
I'll give you one guess. To get even if you get the first name, I'll let that be that'll be the point.
Luigi Pepperoni?
So close. His name is
Get the
Luigi
point, though.
Primo. You do get the point for Luigi.
Primo. His son, Pasta Man, is made out of pasta.
Oh, man. Yeah, see,
When
mine
is
was...
this from? Is this current?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
He was on AEW like 3 months ago, and it was amazing because he came on there. His little pizza dough thing is it's not real. It's not like real dough. It's like a fabric thing that he like spins around while he's fighting, and he like spins it around during a promo or whatever, and then he just gets kicked in the face. Like his stint on AEW is just him talking for like 4 seconds before getting kicked in the face.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we brought all these pizzas for your big celebration. And he's just in the corner spinning this pizza.
Spinning the pie.
Full speed. And then someone kicks him right in his head. And he's done.
Oh.
It was a good cameo, though. You know, as far as cameos go.
No name says it looks like Daniel Day-Lewis mixed with Bob Ross. And Claire says, I like how these live streams last a lot longer than the pod did. Yeah, I don't have to edit this down. This is great.
Dr. Pepperoni. That's funny.
Dr. Pepperoni would have been
Dr. Pepperoni. That's real good.
Also, we're all just ignoring the fun fact that his son, Pasta Man, is made out of pasta. I have no context for that. That's just what I found.
I don't have any... I have no other information about this gentleman.
He's from the real indies, not the indies like Ring of Honor's an indie. He's from the actual indies, and then he blew up on Twitter, and so they brought him up into AEW for a few weeks and basically just beat him up.
He was, as you said earlier, using the correct lingo. He's what they call a jobber.
Yeah,
that made sense. He seems like a job.
Good times. Luigi Primo. He's going to be big one day. I swear.
He's going to make it. I believe in him.
All right. Can you guess this tag team, John?
Are they...
Their theme song's running through my head right now.
Listen.
Yeah.
Yo. You can only get so far into their theme song, and then you have to stop because... Oh, right in the beginning. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a music theme, right? Because he's got music notes on his pants.
Yeah.
I don't know that has a lot to do with the name as much.
Oh, yeah, not the name, of course.
But you're on the right track. Can you guess either of their names? I'll give you a point if you get the obvious one.
Bowen.
Name says MC Hammers.
Bowen's on the left, right?
Yep.
Bilbo's on the right.
So this is Anthony Bowens and Max Caster.
Max Caster. That's a good name.
Yes.
Good name.
And I will give you a point because you kind of. Can you give me more information on their gimmick?
They are rappers.
Yeah, I will. I'll give that to you.
I'll
Hip
allow
hop
that.
artist and hype man.
And,
I was gonna say both
okay.
hip hop artists, but Bowens is really plays the hype man part, whereas Max Caster is the actual like rapper.
I figured it would have been backwards. I thought the guy on the right was the hype man.
Well, no.
I can see why you'd think that. Yeah. No shirt, chain. Yep.
So this is one of the biggest tag teams of like the past, however, like 3 years or something. Like
Yeah,
they are huge.
They
in
exploded. It exploded, and the thing with wrestling is you never know what's going to catch on, and that's what makes it so fun. And these guys had something catch on, and they were doing something repetitively, and they were constantly just on the YouTube show. And they're homegrown. They were basically made here. And they just had something that literally caught fire, and it worked for them. And now they're one of the biggest tag teams.
Held the belts for a while. Had the tag team belts recently.
Yeah. They have a great manager.
Yeah, which we will get to. You'll be surprised. Oh, yeah. You'll be very surprised at the manager. So last chance for a name. You see they're doing this sort of like symbol here. I don't know if that clues you into anything.
It's like an A. I'm gonna guess the Auto-Tune Boys.
This is the Acclaimed. So this is good. That was a good guess, though.
A scissoring craze.
Correct.
Yeah, so
like
they do the A, and then they go to the opposite sides of the ring, and then they scissor in the middle.
Okay.
What happened was Bowens, the guy on the left, would always Max Caster would do his rap to the ring, and Bowens would grab the mic, and he would usually say like he didn't even start by saying like what city they're in. He would just put his fingers out and say the Acclaimed have arrived, and do that little A symbol that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day, Max Caster came up, and while he was doing that symbol, he hit him with the old scissor. Crowd lost it. Everybody started doing it. Literally, the next show, people had giant cardboard scissors that they. I'm not even kidding. It was full on like 90s WWF.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it took off immediately, and so hard that they received like a massive push after that. And I think like one of the I think this was the fun fact I put in here, but the other fun fact, which I really love, is that they were not a tag team before AEW. Like they did not know each other. They came into AEW as singles wrestlers, and then like creative decided to like, hey, what if we put you two together? And like became this like weird sensational tag team.
Yeah, and they do that a lot on that lower. I don't want to say the lower show, but on Dark, on that YouTube show, where they're like, okay, we want to get you guys in here, so maybe you could just team up real quick and fight these other two guys that are trying to get some exposure too. And that's how it happened.
And we're gonna get to their manager at some point. Just know.
No Name did ask if they have a signature move, and Max Caster's signature move is a Macho Man style elbow drop called the mic drop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I forget what Bowens is. Bowens is something that sets up for it.
He does the setup, so they kind of have that Hardy Boys thing where one does the ground move, one does the air move.
Yeah.
Great wrestler stuff.
They're fun.
They're great.
Yeah, Max Caster does
Very
a full rap every time that they wrestle, insulting the other team. It's always new every week, and usually incorporates like it's basically like watching a 30-second version of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, because he usually incorporates like all the news of the previous week into the verse.
And you know how many times I've been on Pro Wrestling Tees and almost sent you one of their shirts because I'm like, there's no way he'll have any place he could ever wear this.
Yeah.
It's been more than 3.
All right, John, do you know who this is?
Billy Cave Boy.
Okay.
I mean, I like that almost as much.
Yeah.
He was raised by wolves. No, he was frozen in a block of ice and then thawed out Encino Man style.
These are very good guesses. So
That's
I'll give you his real name, which is half the work. His real name is Jack Perry.
Yeah, that's half the work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's also part of the fun fact about him is his name.
Uh-huh. I looked up. Jack isn't short for Jackson. It's just Jack.
Oh, okay, good. He has a famous father.
Yeah, his father is Chris Jericho.
You're just ignoring the name and going for.
Well, I mean, they changed.
This
their
is
names,
his real
right?
name. Yeah. But this is his real name. It is also his father's real last name.
Steve Perry from what? Aerosmith?
No.
Wow. No.
But that was a good guess.
That was a great guess.
I don't know. I can't think of any famous Perrys off the top of my head.
There's a couple. There's one that I always accidentally say is his dad that's not, and it's funny. Like I always say his dad's Matthew Perry, but he's not. That's not right. That's wrong. That's the wrong one.
I think we did a little shtick of this a while back in one of our group chats. Yeah, I'm looking through it and I can't find it, but it made me laugh because I had to look up a football player with the last name Perry, and he was like part of the 83. He was part of the 83 championship Chicago Bears team. It was so obscure. You guys were like, "What?"
No name
idiot.
says wrestler. Is it wrestler Richard Simmons?
No, I was just dying. Oh, and then no name says Perry the platypus is the only one I can think of.
So it's Matt Perry's son.
I'll give you a point for the gimmick, because frozen in ice, raised by wolves, that kind of thing. Boy from the jungle, a boy who was raised in the jungle, a boy who is on his way to becoming a jungle man. And if he's not a jungle man, what would that make him, John?
Jungle Boy?
This is Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
I'm giving him the point.
You get it. He is Luke Perry's son.
Yeah.
Which came up in one of the feuds recently. I guess not that recently, but in one of the feuds.
Is he a member of that group that you told me, the Best Friends?
No. But he is one of the 4 pillars of AEW. So in behind the scenes stuff, they were talking about all of the new talent in AEW. There's some of the old guard there. You have big shows in AEW. You have Taz as part of the commentary team. You have Sting, Chris Jericho. You have all these people who are older wrestlers who are mentors, but the up and comers, they have what they call the 4 pillars of AEW, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry is one of the 4. I'm not gonna tell you who the other 3 are yet, because we may see some of the other ones, but they're currently doing a storyline with the 4 pillars in AEW that I think is fantastic. It's such a smart way to play with basically the pieces that you have, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's calling these 4 the 4 pillars. Why not just make them all butt heads?
Yeah, and I think this is a smart way to develop that storyline. Kind of like we had. I always think about the Attitude Era in the 90s and the early 2000s, where you knew who your key players were. You had your Stone Cold Steve Austins, and all of these other guys that you knew, Undertaker. They all work well together. They all have some sort of chemistry together. And having these 4 pillars is, I think, AEW's way of kind of roping that in, developing a storyline.
Yeah. I remember when I first started watching AEW, one of the first I think the first pay-per-view I watched was Jack Perry versus the then champion, and they had built up to it like for a few weeks, and I was like, oh man, I hope he wins because like this feud is awesome, and then he lost. And I was like, oh damn it. I didn't know that there was someone already like prophesized to win like 2 pay-per-views down. Like,
yeah, and he also had 2 other wrestlers with him. I know one of them we won't talk about at all, but it's like a smaller version of him when he came out, and they were supposed to team together. His name was Marcos. His name's Marcos Stunt.
It was like it was like increasing in size. There was Marco Stunt, and then Jack Perry, and then the big guy who I won't name because he may show up later.
He may show up later, but he's really
not this week, but maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, yeah.
But yeah, they were part of the, I guess, tag team or trio that was called Jurassic Express.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hopefully more of them will show up.
Yeah. All right, so John, do you know who this is?
This is Sting Jr.
Huh?
Little Sting.
You're supposed to love him.
That's not a bad guess, I will say.
I see.
Yeah, I see it now. I didn't see it at the time. I will go ahead and tell you their real name. Their real name is Donovan Danhausen.
Danhausen sounds familiar to me for some reason.
In what way does Danhausen sound familiar?
I don't know. I don't know why it's in my head.
Do you think it'd be a good name for a wrestler?
No. Sure, his wrestler name is just Danhausen.
I'm going to give you the point. His wrestling name is just Danhausen.
Danhausen.
And he's a horror movie fan.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close. I actually had to look up. I saw yours and I really liked it. But I looked up what he said his actual gimmick is. And it's Conan O'Brien possessed by a demon.
Right.
This is very nice, very evil. Danhausen.
Love that Danhausen.
He always says this, love that Danhausen and give Danhausen money.
But he has a specific way of talking. He's like, yes, give Danhausen the money. Like, he always talks in the third person. He's very committed to his gimmick. And as soon as I saw him, I absolutely loved him. He when he comes to the ring, they say that he is 6'7" and over 300 pounds, allegedly. It's just such a good joke. He has great entrance music, and he is really good in the ring.
Yeah, his entrance music is like akin to like the Munsters theme. Like that's kind of, it all plays a part in like that. It's like that is part of his character. It is very much that like old Munsters-esque kind of caricature of a person.
Real campy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, originally he started off as actually scary. Some of those original photos are like, whoa. Like
it is a person who likes horror as a picture, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, maybe I can bring some comedy into it. And he started doing quirky things. Like, he'd bring out a jar of teeth. And they're all fake teeth. They're like carved almonds. And during the match, his opponent, he stuffed them in his mouth and then kicked him in his head. And these almonds just went flying everywhere. And that became one of his things. He's practiced his craft for a long time. And selling himself is something he's really good at.
Yeah. He's a personality in AEW more than he's a wrestler currently.
But I hope once he comes back that he is they take him more seriously. He is by far their best seller of merchandise.
Oh yeah.
He sold more merchandise than anyone else last year in AEW.
Man, you could take a handful of people and he outsold all of them put together for sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There is. I was doing a quick Google just so I could look at some videos later, and there's a lot of Danhausen content out there. Like, someone tricks him into eating fruit. Is a video.
Yeah, I watched that video recently. It's great.
He has a channel that he does himself. He loves all the nerdy stuff. You know, he collects comic books. He's in a comic book. He
makes CM Punk
cover.
buy him stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he calls CM Punk Pepsi Man. He always makes fun of people's names in some way. He messes it up somehow. So instead of CM Punk, he calls him Pepsi Man because he has a Pepsi tattoo on his shoulder. There's a few others that I won't mention because it might ruin stuff later down the line. But CM Punk is the one to touch on, I think.
Yeah, he looks pretty fun. I'm gonna have to watch a bunch of videos of this guy.
He's the one that you can just like watch out of context. Like most of the stuff that you see him in, it will just be just fun.
Single-handedly, he pulled one of my old coworkers from not watching wrestling to watching wrestling again, and hadn't watched since he was a kid, and he's in his 40s.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's like, I love Danhausen. Just I don't know what it is, but he has that old school gimmick, and he can go at the same time. He's funny. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely something about that Danhausen.
All right, I don't remember how many I have of these I have left, so let's keep going. Hey John, do you know this wrestler?
Yeah, that's Drax the Destroyer.
It is Drax the Destroyer. Do you know his wrestling name?
His wrestling name is Dave Bautista.
So, I will give you the point because that is his real name. But do you know what his wrestling name is?
I didn't know he had a different wrestle name.
It is eerily similar to his real name, but surprisingly also kind of different.
Dave Bautista.
You're getting closer. I will say it doesn't have the word. It doesn't have Dave in it.
It doesn't have Dave in it?
No.
Barista.
It's very one of those Starbucks green.
Do you know what his gimmick was when he was as a wrestler?
No.
It's just being really jacked. No.
It is.
He's the animal. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it's
animal. Okay. He's just real vicious, huh?
So, I will say, his wrestling name is his name, but with like a letter missing.
Why they would ever do that? That's some WWE shit for sure.
But
like, how would people ever be able to spell it?
Do what?
I don't know. What is it?
It's just Batista.
Batista. They feel like the U is too much for some people?
I guess, yeah. Bautista is, I guess it's a little much.
Oh,
actor in such films as Stuber, My Spy, and Escape Plan 2, Hades. Those are the most famous films he's been in, obviously.
I've never heard of any other ones. And then I had a typo, but in some circles known as Blue Tista. Used to be a deacon. Yeah, he wore just the typical underwear, right? That wrestlers wear. It was blue. Everyone started calling him Blue Tista for like this was his comeback. They started calling him Blue Tista, and he left again. He felt like, I think, kind of bullied.
Claire says, no, it's Boo Tista.
And he did used to be a deacon. He teamed up with another wrestler that was doing a reverend gimmick at the time. And he was the deacon for them before he joined before he found himself in his, like, I think, actual role.
Yeah, weird name change. Well, I guess, it was like, it's Batista. No one really knew him as Dave Batista. Like, he wasn't an actor at this point. He was just a wrestler. So, like, wrestling was his real name.
I didn't know that his last name was spelled different until literally today.
I double checked. I was like, am I just remembering this wrong, or this is not how it's spelled?
What the hell is happening right now?
All right.
Why is every website wrong?
John, do you know this wrestler?
Yeah, that's Nacho Libre.
God damn, you got it.
Nacho.
I was hoping the picture would be like generic enough that you wouldn't get it, but yeah, you got it right away.
Yeah,
ask it all. A few times.
Do you know this wrestler's real name?
No.
Ignacio.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
And then for the gimmick, it was just he's a flying lucha libre. There wasn't.
It's all the gimmicky.
In the movie, he tries to get powers of an eagle at some point, but it didn't seem like that was a gimmick. But that's all we need. But yeah, this is Nacho, Jack Black in Nacho Libre. The fun fact for this one is that the film is loosely based on a person called Fray Tormenta, which is Friar Torment, a real-life Mexican Catholic priest who had a 23-year-long career as a masked luchador to support the orphanage that he directed. Which is that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
And Jack Black, why is he into everything I'm into? I watch him on even social media. He had Tony Hawk over to his house. He built a skate ramp for him and his kids, and he did this whole skate thing for a bit. I'm like, how is he? And he was on the Barracks, which is a skate park owned by some prominent skaters. He was on their show Do a Kickflip, where he drove around and yelled at people in the street to do a kickflip, and if they did, he gave them free stuff. Why is he into everything I like? I don't understand it.
He's the best. It's because he's the best.
I'll accept that answer, though.
All right, another fake wrestler. All right. Hey, John, do you know who this is? I will say I will accept one of your previous guesses for a different wrestler.
And if you write down exactly what I said, I'll just give you points for everything and you win.
God, I wish I remembered what I guessed previously. This is...
It was a funny guess for a different
Skater
wrestler.
Boy?
Oh, I mean, that's...
Wait, what did you say?
I said Skater Boy.
Oh, okay. Not wrong.
I made a lot of funny guesses. I don't know what they are.
Yeah. So the clue was the his sort of attire and his makeup outfit, all that. But
Sting Jr.
I will give you points for Sting Jr.
Uh-huh.
So his real name is Samuel Ratch. Listen, I understand this isn't his wrestling name.
Yeah, there's a reason.
I see why this happened.
That makes sense.
Rat. How does TSCH work as a sound?
It's all those sounds together.
Rat.
I think you dropped the T. You dropped the T.
It's rash.
I think it's rash.
I think it's rats.
I hate it here.
And you kind of pointed out, I guess, part of his gimmick. It's
I like to point out all the letters of scratch jumbled up.
That would be a good name, Sam Scratch, or just Scratch. That'd be great.
Good old Sammy Scratch. His finisher is the 7-year itch.
So yeah, his gimmick is he is a relentless thrill seeker and skater.
I wrote down he is the Crow's rebellious son.
Which is very true. He is a person I am surprised has not been injured more, because he does the craziest shit.
He hasn't had a major injury.
He's like Jeff Hardy Jr. basically, just out there doing the craziest shit to himself. His finisher is like a backdrop, just called coffin drop, where he just literally throws himself at the other person on the ground or wherever they happen to be, and you don't even see where you're going. You just But yeah, so this is Darby Allin. His mentor is the 64-year-old Sting.
Yep.
He is also one of the 4 pillars of AEW.
Okay.
So him and Jungle Boy are 2 of the 4 pillars. He wrestles on his own a lot. He wrestles as a tag team with Sting a lot. Gets to do a lot of shenanigans. He was in that match where Sting threw himself off of the balcony into the tables and stuff.
He's also dangerous to have around Jeff Hardy, we figured out. because one will say I'm going to do this, and then other one will say, "Oh, I'll do this," and it just keeps going.
They had a match with each other,
they're
and it was too much.
bananas. Yeah.
They just throw him down like full flights of stairs kind of regularly, which doesn't seem that crazy compared to all the other stuff, but like there's not really a lot of safe ways to fall downstairs. You know what I mean? Like
You just got to go, right?
yeah. A lot of those things are like, oh, we're going to put boxes down, or I'll put a table there to break your fall. This is just like, oh, no, we're throwing you down cement stairs. Like, fucking deal with it.
There's a lot of terrible television, as we all know. And there's a show called Sex Sent Me to the ER. Not sure if you ever heard of that, but he was on it.
Oh.
Yeah, he was one of the actors that was like portraying like a real situation. It was like the dramatization. Okay. Yeah. Really funny to see him in that kind of role. But he used to be a stuntman before that, so it's kind of like, hey, I want to be an actor stuntman, and he might have found the best of both worlds.
Oh, John, you have seen one of these wrestlers before.
Okay.
Did you watch Did you watch the music video for "Okay" by Atmosphere?
Yes.
Fucking Max Caster is in that music video. He plays like the police officer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you watch that video again, just look out for the police officer, and you're like, whoa, that's fucking Max Caster of the Acclaimed.
Okay.
His dad is Rich Caster. He was a football player.
Yeah. His father was not also Luke Perry? I'm surprised.
Was not.
Luke got around.
All right, let's see. How many more of these I got? I don't remember.
Only a couple.
John, do you know this wrestler? I'm going to say you know the name of this wrestler in a different context, and I think I'm going to try and get you there with the rest of this.
Okay.
So, real name is Dory Prang?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And as a guess for her like gimmick, kind of what she's all about, kind of. Well, okay, that's fine. I can just get this. So
It's just a tough one.
She is known as the Runaway and Destination Unknown.
Okay.
So do you know the name of this wrestler?
Dory the Explorer.
Her real name has nothing to do with her wrestling name. Her wrestling name was given to her.
Runaway Train.
No, more on the Destination Unknown part. Is there anything that rings through your head when you hear Destination Unknown?
Yeah.
Doodle Maps.
No. I was hoping that you would get this one.
The second part of the name.
So, John, this is Ruby Soho.
Oh, okay. The Rancid song. I got it.
Yeah. Right. She is close friends with Rancid's Lars Fredriksson, who told her to use the name and actually cleared the song so that she could have it as her entrance.
So she debuted at Gathering of the Juggalos. She's from Indiana. So they do wrestling shows there.
Mm-hmm.
Debuted there as Heidi Lovelace. She did not like that name, but when she came to WWE, they gave her the name Ruby Riott. And she's like, I really like that name.
And then got Ruby Riott with 2 T's. I saw that part.
Yeah. And then during the pandemic, they cut a lot of people. She was one that got cut from WWE. And when she came to AEW, that's when she was like, I don't know what name to go with going forward. I don't like Heidi. I can't use Ruby Riott, which I really like. And she was talking with Lars, and Lars said, why don't you use Ruby Soho?
She's like, yeah, because that was why she had the Ruby part, was from that song. She was like, why don't you use the whole thing?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So she comes out to the song and gets to use the name. And
they performed at a pay-per-view as her entrance. Like Rancid was actually there singing her in for her match, which is awesome.
Very cool.
But yeah, Ruby Soho. That one I thought I could get you there, but the Destination Unknown, like by itself, is real nebulous.
Yeah, I was thinking Final Destination.
You had one clue. I mean, I see how it would be missed.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, John, can you guess this wrestler?
That's Steve-O from Jackass.
I'm sorry, John. That is not Steve-O from
No,
Jackass.
That's Steve-O. That's the other guy.
That's him. That's him, officer.
I'll go ahead and give you his real name. His real name is Philip John Clapp.
Yeah, Johnny Knoxville.
There you go. That is Johnny Knoxville. Do you know his gimmick?
He's a superhero.
Well, think more in line with his day job.
Go with
Jackass.
He is a prankster and a jackass. That is correct.
Uh-huh.
So yes, this is Johnny Knoxville, and here's a fun fact: he's undefeated at WrestleMania.
I wrote he beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 38 with the legal use of a Wee Man.
Oh, true, and a mousetrap, but yeah,
And
I like
then
that he's
John
undefeated.
I really like. And he can be spotted sometimes in the rafters when Sammy's coming out to the ring, just booing the shit out of him.
He got to have a feud with somebody, and it was I like just seeing the pieces that I saw of it. It was fantastic. Like,
Yeah, silly match. Just a gimmicky, fun, laughable match.
yeah. All right, let's go. I don't know how many more of these I have, so let's go a little bit. Who is this, John?
Flexi Tiny Arms.
Oh my god, incredibly close.
So Julia calls him Tiny Arms, and there she is in the chat calling him Tiny Arms.
Yep.
Tiny Arms. That's his name.
So I will give you his real name, which should help a lot. His name is John Anthony Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Silver the Balloon. Long John Silver.
You're thinking too hard about this.
Silver dollar. Silver and
what,
Reynolds.
What is his name?
First and last name.
Reynolds is
John?
his tag team partner.
Silver John.
Still somehow you're not there yet. All right, I'll give you the gimmick.
Silver.
His name is John Silver. That's correct.
John Hundy the Meat Man.
Yeah, his gimmick. He's Johnny Hunky and the Meat Man.
I'm Hundy. Please give me meat.
Usually in the third person. Usually like Johnny Hungy.
Yeah. But
I hate everything you're doing to me.
So this is John Silver, number 4 of the Dark Order. He's a member of the Dark Order, which is a faction in AEW. Tag teams with Reynolds, with Alex Reynolds a lot, which I didn't put on here. But he also became part of the bro explaining memes when a segment from Being the Elite, people screenshotted this image, which was him supposed to be imitating those memes anyway, and now became a part of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's explaining
Fun
something
fact.
the girl does not care at all, just wants to be away.
Yeah. And I would say this group is a giant part of the AEW promotion for just a number of reasons. But John Silver is there's a lot of people in the group that are really good. But
he's a really good wrestler. Like,
I don't think anyone can go like him.
He is
like
smaller.
when he flips the switch, he is gone.
He is smaller than a lot of people that he wrestles, but man, he goes.
Yeah, he'll German suplex him like right over his head. Drop like him and Reynolds have this combination that they do, where John hits a move, Alex hits a move, and they just keep switching back and forth, hitting moves on the same guy, and it's kind of incredible. There's nobody who does tag team in that rapid fashion like they do. I think the only people I could think that used to do it back in the day were the Hardys. And yeah, it's kind of something to behold.
They really need to get like an actual push. Like they keep being like the next team, you know, like, oh, they're going to be the next thing, and then they just end up being in matches and losing to whoever actually gets to be the next big tag team or whatever. Like, it's unfortunate.
My fun fact was Love's Chili's is Hungy. Because he, in one of the Being the Elite things, another wrestler was like, and I'm fucking hungry. This is bullshit. He's just going off. And then the camera just turns, and him and Alex Reynolds, they're like, we brought food, and they raise the bags up in the air with their like bent wrist, and he's like, we got Chili's, and they're like dancing. It's so stupid. Yeah. But he's incredibly, he's a kind of born entertainer for sure.
All right, John, do you know who this is?
No.
You won't offend her, but this is Ashley's favorite wrestler.
I have no idea.
One of my favorite female wrestlers that I've seen in AEW. Like,
oh yeah,
fantastic. Her real name is Danielle Paltry. Paltry, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not helpful. Very, very unhelpful. This will send you in the wrong direction if you go this direction.
Yeah.
Her gimmick is apparently called the Babe with the Power. I didn't know that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was just part of the indie stuff, I guess. It's just something she's been called over the years. Haven't seen her really use it.
Her wrestling name reminds me of something straight out of, I don't know why, Elder Scrolls.
Sure.
No idea. Every time I see it, I think of a certain Elder Scroll god.
So her wrestling name, John,
Goddess,
is Willow Nightingale.
Oh, the Nightingales. Okay.
Yeah. Her motto, as part of like, you know, her entrance and everything, is "Nothing matters, smile anyway." It's sort of like a nihilistic positivity. Is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And she always has like a positive, like sunny attitude as a wrestler. It's great. Like her gimmick is fantastic.
Yeah, and her when she writes her name, Willow is in colorful bubble letters, and then Nightingale is in death metal font.
Yeah,
it's really good. And when she kind of does the Hulk Hogan thing, you know, when Hulk Hogan used to get hit, and he'd be like kind of hulking up, and you see him shaking his head. She doesn't do that, but the straps come down when she gets serious.
Okay,
and she's pretty powerful. She's pretty powerful, especially in their women's division. I hope they do more with her.
Just a fun inclusion. I like a lot of the wrestlers who have these sort of like bubbly gimmicks, right? Who are just like not super serious all the time and like understand, not like entertaining in like a campy way, but just like, oh, I'm here. This is fun for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
God, I don't remember how many more of these I have. Hey, John, do you know who this is? This angry gentleman is?
Discount Steve Austin?
Yes, that's correct.
I will give you a point for discount.
I'm giving him a point. Somehow that's correct.
Did he steal his jacket?
Do you know his real name? I'll give you a hint. You were very close with Discount Steve Austin.
Steve Dallas.
I'm giving him a half point.
Stephen Blake Waltz is his real name.
Okay.
The point for
I didn't know his real name either. It's cool. Yeah. You know what I mean?
My favorite thing, and this is a person we haven't seen yet.
Like Chris Jericho and Steve Austin had a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know who his parents are, so that's canon for me as far as I'm concerned.
I don't have him here, but in the future we might have him. But there was a feud at one point between him. I can't tell you until I tell you the actual name of the. I was about to ruin it. His gimmick is he's an anxious millennial cowboy.
Okay.
So
not that he stole Chris Benoit's tiny face.
No, it's that his biggest flaw is like he doesn't believe in himself.
Okay.
Often, Like he is his own worst enemy. Like he gets in his own way a lot, which I think is like more introspective than a lot of like wrestling gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it built to like this huge moment where like he had to basically like, I deserve to be champion and be the one that takes the belt away from my like former friend and former tag team partner who has betrayed everything that we ever cared about. Like I need to be good enough to like say that I deserve this. It was great. It was like this culmination of like a year-long story. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and all along the way they were doing other fun things with him, including that Dark Order group that we talked about. And I don't know who in wrestling, when you come to the ring or they show a wrestler, they usually have a little title piece that pops up under them, and it has their name.
Yeah,
the dude who writes the little tagline that goes above their name, that guy was magical for like most of the early pandemic. Like he had like Hangman. Shit, I ruined it. I think.
Hey John, you know this person's name?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. He went through this whole drinking phase, and the guy who wrote the stuff right above his name would be like, has had a couple of drinks today, and he just turned to the camera and smile.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It was like just a little bit of extra fun that you get to have as the person writing the prompts. Now they're all just like, as 112 of their last 82 matches or whatever, like just stupid things. For a while they were fun. Yeah. But yeah, this is Hangman Adam Page.
Okay.
He's formerly a high school teacher, and he's written a children's book called Hangman and the Golden Horseshoe. It's just things I found out while looking this up also.
I didn't know he wrote a book. I knew that he was a full-time high school teacher teaching journalism and graphic design while wrestling.
Cool. He's a little bit like he's like the Texas version of the guy from Letterkenny, right? Like he's that.
Yeah, he definitely looks like it.
He's Texas Jared Kiso.
In Japan, they had a very prominent faction, and he was part of that very prominent faction that even ended up getting merchandise in like American store, like a lot of their shirts you can still find at places like Hot Topic today.
Yeah. My favorite thing while doing this is I don't have him in here, but there's a wrestler whose name is Adam Cole, and he had a feud with Adam Page over like who was the best Adam. Neither of them are fucking named Adam.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, God damn it. So the whole feud was for nothing. All right, we got to be getting close.
We're getting
think
close.
I made 30 of these. Do you know who this is? Because I didn't.
No.
He
looks intense.
Yeah. His real name is Eric Ardent.
Okay.
What he's really good at is literally tattooed on his right hand.
Singing?
Microphones.
He's good at being a microphone.
He's good at talking. He's apparently a talker.
Okay.
Great.
His gimmick is the realest guy in the room. I couldn't figure out the gimmick for him. Jay had to figure that one out because I did not know who this was.
Yeah.
Everything else is just like, he's just being himself, and I was like, if that's him being himself, he's a lot.
I wrote that down, but the original gimmick I wrote down is a thug who looks like a human chicken.
This is WWE guy from the time period where I wasn't watching. So
yeah.
So John, this is Enzo Amore or Enzo or Real One, depending on where he's at.
Real One.
And he graduated from Salisbury University with a degree in journalism.
My fun fact was not that.
No. I don't remember what yours was, but
my fun fact was he had another guy that he used to come out with named Big Cass, and he would always say, "My name's Enzo Amore, and this is Big Cass. He's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that." And then he would run down all this other stuff, and he would end with "Bada boom, realest guys in the room." My fun fact was Bada Boom wasn't the realest guy in the room after being fired from WWE for sexual assault allegations.
Oh no.
Yep, not great.
Yeah, I would not have included this gentleman. Fuck that guy. All right. Hey, do you know who this is?
No. That's a lot of no.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you the real name, and I'm gonna let you take another guess.
Okay.
So her real name is Jade Cargill.
Okay.
You want to take a guess at her wrestling name?
Jade.
It's a little bit more to it than that.
Jade Cutter.
You're overthinking this again.
Jade.
This is Kasima's
Jade
favorite
Cutter.
wrestler.
Okay.
I've given you the answer.
Jade Cargill?
Her name's Jade Cargill. You got it.
Got it. Nailed it.
Would you like to take a guess at her gimmick?
She makes stained glass. As a hobby.
She is the undefeated Queen Bee. And she's jacked, I think is the other part of that. The part of
How are you? I jacked as a gimmick idea, but undisputed Queen Bee?
Undefeated. So she currently is undefeated in AEW for over like the past year, and has been undefeated as their TBS champion since the championship existed. She has yet to lose a match in AEW.
She has a 477-day reign as the AEW Women's TBS Championship, despite only having 2 years of experience in wrestling prior.
And bonus fun fact, besides that her ring attire is inspired by X-Men's Storm, which she has like a Storm kind of like video package along with like her entrance. And her debut featured a team up with Shaq. She is the person who gave me a Canadian destroyer in last night's episode of Dynamite that I just was not expecting.
It was a what the hell moment.
Well, yeah, she has never done anything like that before, and then just immediate, like, middle of the match, Canadian destroyer out of nowhere. I was like, what?
It's weird. She is still kind of green. She's not.
You see it.
Yeah, obviously. She's not as experienced as some of the others, but they've invested so heavily in her. And watching her from when she started till now makes sense.
Yeah. She's gotten way better. And I think she's going to continue to get better. And I think like the look of a champion, no doubt. Like she said that like her style was kind of wanting to like be like China, like the wrestler China, right? And that makes a lot of sense. Like that, China also had that like, I am a superstar wrestler kind of like look that you just like. There's nothing you can't fake that part, right? Like you can't just Enzo can't look like the big superstar guy, right? Like that's just not in the cards for Enzo Amore.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned China. That was the other inspiration. It's Storm and China.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
All right. John, can you guess this wrestler?
Oh,
so that older fellow.
Yeah. Real familiar. Can't place who it is.
I've done some. I've chosen a fun picture of him because it kind of gives it to you, but then it doesn't.
Oh, who used to be the ass man in the WWE?
Yes, I will give you the point for that.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Well, his real name is Monty Kip Sop. Does that help?
No,
not at all.
I know that it doesn't. It's the most out of left field.
Is his last name Gunn?
His last name is Gunn.
I'm giving you a half point. At least.
Something I don't remember.
I will give you his gimmick you already got is Mr. Ass, or now more famously known as Daddy Ass.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn, yeah, badass Billy Gunn.
He is the manager of the Acclaimed. And their famous catchphrase now is after they get in the ring and they do the everyone loves the Acclaimed, they do the A thing. Anthony Bowens yells, "Scissor me daddy ass," and then they all scissor in the middle of the ring.
Oh, okay.
Another just random thing that was yelled when this tag team was coming to the ring that just caught fire. Signs immediately next week.
I mean,
that say "Scissor me daddy ass." Shirts, everything.
Probably the only shirt that's like outsold Danhausen is probably the "Scissor me daddy ass" shirt. Or the Ass Boy shirt, which is a thing that Danhausen did. He coined his sons, who both wrestle in AEW, because their dad was Mr. Ass, so they called him Daddy Ass, which stuck on as his nickname. Before working with the Acclaimed, like this is all before, and then his sons, instead of being Sons of a Gun, which is why it's crossed out on his shirt there, he called them the Ass Boys, and now there's just Ass Boys chants anytime they come into the ring.
Yeah, Danhausen's like, yes, the Sons of the Ass, or the Ass Boys. Yes, the Ass Boys.
It's very good.
Great.
Also, WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah, with DX.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because it's a conflict, promotional conflict. They also reference when they do DX things in WWE, they'll make a gesture at Billy Gunn and they'll be like, "Hey, he's doing something somewhere else with like office supplies," pointing at AEW and scissors.
Yeah. Yeah, was that the last one? No, there's more. Hey, John, do you know who this is?
Dominic Monaghan? No.
Great
fair.
Good name.
I mean, that's the guy from the Star Wars games, Jay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you.
So I'll go ahead and give you his real name. His real name is James Sipperly.
Okay.
Or something. Would you like to take a guess at his gimmick?
He's a movie star.
Okay. No, that's pretty. I mean, it's kind of close. He does have a picture of himself on his shirt.
Yeah.
Is there anything about his demeanor that you would say would like filter into the gimmick? Like,
he's real self-centered. Egomaniac.
It's kind of the opposite.
It is.
Huh.
He is laid back, very uncaring. Okay. They call him the King of Sloth Style, I guess.
In Japan, they coined the phrase "strong style" for certain wrestlers. He's the complete opposite.
Yeah. This is one of the most popular wrestlers currently wrestling, and his name is Orange Cassidy.
Oh. Yeah, you told me about Orange Cassidy at one point.
Yeah. So this is Orange Cassidy, and the reason I told you is because his character is based off of Paul Rudd's character from Wet Hot American Summer. Just
whatever.
His thing is like he gives it like do the least amount of thumbs up you could possibly do, and that is his hand sign.
Yeah.
Yep. He currently has the International Championship, I think is what it's called now.
Yep.
It changed titles from All American or All Atlantic to International. But he is one of the most popular wrestlers in AEW. Just because it's so different. Like he comes out, he rolls under the bottom rope. Like doesn't try to climb over, doesn't do anything, just rolls under it.
And he rolls to the middle of the ring a lot of times.
Yeah.
He just continues to roll until he's in the middle.
Does the least amount of work possible. He has the belt, but he carries it in a North Face little backpack that he has slung over his shoulder.
Yeah, canvas backpack, yeah.
Yeah, like a canvas backpack. He's fantastic.
A lot of his like teammates, because he is part of the best friends. They fist bump. His fist bump is he just puts his like his hand just loosely out and.
It's great. It's amazing watching him wrestle because he's also really fucking good. Like
he's real good.
He's had some of the actual best matches, but like one of the best things is the thing that you want to stop Orange Cassidy from doing is putting his hands into his pockets.
Yeah.
Like wrestlers just try desperately to stop him from putting his hands into his pockets because then he rolls under you, he counters what you're about to do, and then he drop kicks you and then kips up. Like
Yeah, he'll do like that kip up where he jumps or goes from his back to his feet with his hands in his pocket. And if they're on the outside of the ring, he'll run and bounce off the far ropes and then dive head first between the top and middle rope with his hands still in his pockets.
Yeah.
And just cannonball into the dude. Or whatever it might be, group of people.
It's so unique, like to like a wrestling match with Orange Cassidy. Like it's always unique. Like you haven't seen someone do so little, but like just be still the best wrestler in the room.
He also does a very lazy group of moves together, where he like when he starts the match, he'll walk up and he'll like barely lift his leg and he'll kick at their ankle, and then put it down and like kick at their knee. And then he'll like back up real slow and do like he's gonna do Shawn Michaels super kick is like Sweet Chin Music. He'll back up and then he'll just barely lift his leg. And the whole time the crowd's going, oh, like they're freaking out like it's the craziest stuff they've ever seen. And that's part of the charm of Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. All right. I assume that nope, we're not done yet. This might be the last one. I think it is.
Yeah.
Hey John, do you know who this is?
No.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and give you their real name. So this person's name is Robin Ramzinski.
Yeah.
Would you like to take a guess at their wrestling name or their gimmick based on their real name?
They are from a movie. They're not a real wrestler at all.
Yeah, you got me. Do you know who the actor is?
That shot though is really.
This is good.
Really
I thought this would get you. I thought this would trip you up.
Yeah, the guy, Mick.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke.
That is Mickey Rourke. I will give you the point for Mickey Rourke.
Hell yeah.
So his gimmick is the Bull. And this is Randy the Ram Robinson. Wait, why did you change that?
In the
Bull? Did I do that?
I didn't do it.
I might have put that in wrong. But yeah, it's the Ram.
I've never seen this movie.
Oh. But yeah, this is Mickey Rourke and the wrestler. Jay, you should watch this movie. It's fucking fantastic.
I really need to. Yeah, it's on the list.
Apparently, director Darren Aronofsky briefly considered having Nick Cage star in the film.
Of course.
But he had a conflict with Superman.
Well, no, apparently, like, the role was always Mickey Rourke's. Like, he was like, Mickey Rourke's our first choice. But, like, obviously you have to do, like, well, what if he says no kind of things. And one of his thoughts was, like, well, maybe Nick Cage. And then, like, he took Nick Cage to, like, a wrestling show. Which I think it was, like, either, like, a TNA or a Ring of Honor show. And Nick Cage just thought all of it was real. He's like, whoa, these people are crazy. Because it's Nick Cage. Like, why wouldn't you? But, like, with that conversation and that night that he spent with them, he decided that Nick Cage was too healthy for the role. He wanted someone a little bit more beat up. And so, yeah, obviously Mickey Rourke.
I do want to see a wrestling movie starring Nick Cage, though.
Now.
I'd watch
it. Now you need
That'd be great.
Yeah. Was it the last one? That was the last one.
Well, this was demoralizing. You started it strong with things I knew and then just gave me nothing after that.
John, would you like to guess how many points you got?
15.
You clocked in at 38 points.
Out of a potential...
Let's say there's 3 points for each, right? Name, gimmick, real name, that's whatever. and wrestler. So 3 times 30 out of 90.
Okay, so not great.
It's not terrible. I guess
I counted up 44, but I also counted up half points because he guessed some stuff that was real close.
Yeah.
And I was like, he got the first part of it. I have to award him some points because I didn't even know this. Like, I gave you half point for Macho Man Randy Savage's real name. You guessed Randall.
So he says he also can't math anyway. That's fair. We'll go with Jay's score. You got 44.
All right, I'll take it.
So, John, what do you got for us next week?
Oh, I have to come up with a thing for next week?
Not on the spot.
Oh, it's I'll have to think on that, but maybe real obscure superheroes, and you have to tell me what their powers are.
Ooh,
fun.
That'd be fun.
Or I won't have anything. We'll see.
Or we can just riff.
Yeah, we can do whatever.
That was fun.
Yeah, this was like
so much about
half
wrestling.
of the names on that list.
Yeah, that list ended up being 83 altogether. 83 people.
It's just 30 of them. I threw in a lot of my fun fake ones, so there was.
The fun fake ones were good. I really liked those.
Are we not going to do any more of these?
I mean, we might in the future. So we give it a week or two. Maybe build it out a little bit better next time. We can. Yeah,
if it ends up being a thing, I'll just. There are some funny ones on here that I really want to talk about, but I'll save that for the next time.
I love to just do like a rapid round in the middle of like face or heel, right? Like.
Oh yeah, just kind of run through wrestler. Are they good or bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even if it was Gimmick, it would have been real hard. Like some of them, the gimmicks were absolutely nothing compared to
Jade Cargill's gimmick is that she's undefeated, which at some point won't be true, right? So a lot of the time it's just like the wrestler's gimmick is like, I'm good at wrestling. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Good stuff. I do like seeing that wall of green next to Mick Foley, though. Because I was keeping score, and everything for Mick Foley was all green, and I was like, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for us. Ran a little bit longer, but we don't know what that means. It's whatever. It's 2.5 hours instead of 2. But we will see you next week with something. We'll be here. Probably.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, maybe they should figure it out if they're watching.
You bring
just
us
drop
something
it in
next
the
week.
I like
bring
that.
us something.
You just drop in the chat here, or find us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Find us in real life. Just track us down.
Yep.
Hire your own Craven the Hunter to hunt us. And we'll see you all next week from hiding from a killer.